Cosworth-tuned Escorts and Sierras, V6-powered Capris and anything with an RS badge are amongst the most popular of the Blue Oval legends. But you don't need a blue-chip salary to drive a blue-collar hero. Away from six-figure Cossis and Capris as valuable as a new Cayman, it's still possible to buy a fast Ford for a less racy figure. Here are 10 of our favorite modern classics, along with how much you need to spend. The original Ford Puma was a revelation. Arguably one of the finest front-wheel drive cars of the 1990s, and certainly the best small coupe, the Puma had it all. Fashionable good looks, a cheap price and a delightful chassis. At its best with the 1.7-liter engine co-developed with Yamaha, the Puma could show a considerably more expensive sports car a clean pair of paws on a British B-road. It's not quite an endangered species, but rust has reduced your chances of spotting a good example in the wild. You know a car has hit rock bottom when your best hopes of finding one is by turning to Facebook Marketplace. The Ford Cougar's spiral into the abyss was as rapid as the realization that it wasn't the Capri replacement we were hoping for. Squint hard, and the new Edge styling gives the Cougar the look of a more mature Puma. It's nowhere near as nice to drive, but opt for the 2.5-liter V6 for a rare and distinctive Grand Tourer on a budget. Launched in the US in 1992, and in the UK in 1994, the Ford Probe could have been a sales hit. A Capri for a new generation, unveiled at the peak of the two-door coupe's popularity. It flopped, with buyers failing to warm to its odd blend of Japanese and American parentage. The 2.0-liter four-cylinder offered tepid performance, which makes the 2.5-liter V6 the engine of choice. It must be worth a punt for the pop-up headlights and rear heck blend. It's nearly 2 decades since Ford announced the Focus ST170, and there's a sense that it's on the cusp of classic status. Too many have been sacrificed for engine donor purposes, with owners of older Fords keen to get hold of the upgraded 2.0-liter Zetec engine. Highlights of the ST170 included a new Getrag 6-speed gearbox, stronger drive shafts, stiffer springs, tuned dampers and tweaks to the rear suspension. Some will moan that 170 bhp isn't enough, but that speaks volumes about this fine chassis. The estate is rarer than the 3- and 5-door hatchbacks. The Ford Mondeo SD200 comes with the warm glow of an association with the British Touring Car Championship. Available almost exclusively in Imperial Blue, the SD200 was powered by a 2.5-liter V6 engine tweaked to produce 202 bhp. Values are creeping up, with an example with 112,000 miles on the clock selling for £4,860 in the spring. Hardly surprising, because the Mondeo is one of the sweetest handling cars you can buy. Remember when you could buy a Mk3 Ford Granada Cosworth for little more than the scrap value? It's why so many were sent to an early grave, with the Cosworth 24-valve V6 heart ripped out for transplant purposes. The engine is a development of the old 2.9-liter Cologne V6, with Cosworth adding 24-valve cylinder heads and 4 camshafts. Your biggest challenge will be finding one, a 1994 automatic with 114,500 miles on the clock sold for £5,600 in July. The Ford Sport Ka was the hot car we were hoping for. Wider and lower than the standard Ka, the Sport Ka also benefited from a larger 1.6-liter engine and the sweet 5-speed gearbox from the Puma. It looked fantastic, but the Ka's tendency to rust has left many examples looking a little rough around the edges. Find a good one, and it will feel like you're driving an XR2 for the new millennium. Buying a Mk5 or Mk6 is your only hope of finding a good, fast Ford Escort on a budget. There are plenty to choose from, including the GT, C and this, the RS2000. The champ is back, proclaimed the press ads, while Clarkson, complete with big hair and a very 90s jacket, said the chassis was completely Gary-proof. Launched in 1991 as a front-wheel drive hot hatch, the four-wheel drive version followed in 1994. It's the cheapest way into Escort RS ownership, but you'll need to find the best part of £10,000. You'll need to sift through the countless modified and remapped examples when hunting for a used Ford Focus Street, but it'll be worth the effort. Don't rule out an ST with the Mountune Performance Pack, because the increase in power and torque is a welcome boost. On sale between 2005 and 2011, the Focus ST was one of the best hot hatches of the decade. A fine chassis married to a tuneful and soulful 2.5-liter 5-cylinder engine was a match made in heaven. Find a good one, and you'll live happily ever after. Fancy a crossover with a 2.5-liter turbocharged 5-cylinder engine that's essentially a detuned version of the motor in the Focus ST and RS? The Kuga 2.5T is the crossover you've been waiting for. Most people opted for a first-generation Kuga with a diesel engine, but the supply of petrol versions is surprisingly good. You can convince yourself that you're at the wheel of a more practical Focus Street.